Okay, just a quick video for those who are trying to remove the rear fuel tank to a 97 F250 7.3 liter. You'll find that the rear tank is a bit more difficult than the front tank because of the fuel lines. You'll find that there is I don't know if you can see it, very little space between the bottom of the bed and this cross member to reach your hand in there to disconnect the fuel lines from the sending unit. So what you have to do, if you follow the fuel line, you've got flexible fuel lines from the sending unit connectors, about maybe 2 foot of it. Let me get some light on the subject. There's that small space right there, and then you'll have to drop the tank to get to the fuel connector. However, with everything in place, it's not going to drop that far for you to gain access to that. I had to loosen the fuel lines to get that kind of access to disconnect and reconnect those fuel lines to the sending unit. So what I had to do, about I think maybe 18 inches, 20 inches, you got the hard fuel lines, you'll follow that all the way through to the switch. That's the switch that switches from your front to the rear tank. And these two bottom ones go to your rear tank. You'll have to take these two retaining clips, these plastic ones, you'll have to remove them, push them out of the way. You might have to finagle them a little bit, and be careful because they're plastic and they're very thin and they could be brittle. You don't want to break those. And then you probably have to twist the fuel line a little bit, and then pull it out. You'll have a little bit of fuel coming out. Then when you can do that, after you do that, you can loosen these retaining clips that retain the hard line. And then you can pull these out of the retainer. There is 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. And after you loosen those, then you can pull out the rear fuel line assembly, and then move it forward, or rearward, or toward the rear tank. That'll give you an extra 6 inches to play with. When you do that, you can drop the tank down to this position right here, to where you can remove the fuel lines from the sending unit, and vice versa, connect them when you put the tank back up. In my case, I was running out of fuel at 3/4 tank, and I knew I either had water in the tank or the pickup was gone. And in this case, I dropped both tanks. The tanks were nice and dry. As far as water, there was no water. What the issue was the screen, the fuel pickup had fallen out and kind of disintegrated in a few pieces and stuff like that. So I replaced those on both of the tanks. And the front tank is pretty easy to get to, but and to put back on. But the rear tank, this was the main issue, was the length of the fuel line. So that's what you have to do. You have to move that fuel line rearward toward the tank so that you can take those spring retaining clips off. And then you're going to need a specialty tool to you've probably seen in other videos. I got this off of Amazon for, I think it was about 10 bucks, and that is a big help in taking the fuel line off. You need that. There's an internal retaining lock or spring that you have to push into the fuel line in order for the fuel line to release. I've seen some people make one out of a plastic Sharpie top. I liked it for 10 bucks. You know, this is pretty easy. It's easy to manipulate the fuel line with it. So yeah, that's a short video of that fuel tank, and hopefully that helps somebody. Thanks for watching.